Hello everybody, this is Bobby Mills with Independent.com for another version of Endzone Online. Today we're at Adams Central High School with Coach Shawn Mulligan. Thank you. It's good to shake your hand and not have a mask on, sir.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time, man.
I appreciate talking about AC football.
Me too. I love it. So, 8th year, is that correct?
Yep, 8th year as head coach here. That's correct. Mm-hmm.
I know that I've asked this question before. How many years have you been involved in coaching here?
This is my 22nd year as a coach. 21 of them have been at Adams Central. I was at Silver Lake for 1 year.
Yeah.
A long time ago on that, but 22 years overall.
They should probably treat you pretty well by now.
They have for a long time.
That's good.
Yeah, very blessed to be here.
I think they treat everybody well here. I like this school.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet. Boy, what a record you've had the last 3 years, huh?
We've had a good run. Yes, we have. Yep.
36-6, is that right? And playoff-wise, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, last 3 years?
That sounds accurate on the wins losses. I do know that we've gone from quarterfinals, semifinals to finals the last 3 years. So yeah, we have improved.
Incredible, but that's, I mean, whenever be advised whenever you play Adams Central, you have a 90% chance of losing.
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, but that's what the raw stats say. But there's more to it than that, of course.
We try to coach our kids the right way. We want them to play hard. We are simplistic in what we do. We try to do it at a very high level. And the last 3 years, we've had very good athletes. We've had 7 All-State football players over the last 3 years, and you got to have the Johnnies and the Jimmies to perform well, and we've been blessed with that. So our performance has done well. We as coaches haven't done anything to screw up the kids' ability to play on the field on that, and the credit goes to them. We just help them, and then they do what's needed or necessary on Friday nights to win those games.
But the philosophy here, the kids have bought into the philosophy, and to me, whenever I see an Adams Central football game, the discipline is second to none, and I like the way that those kids, they always carry themselves very well.
Well, and that goes back to Bill Carlin as far as I'm concerned, because he was my mentor, and I learned so much from him, and he started the tradition that we have, not only with winning, but just the way that our kids handle themselves. We have, for example, our kids wear white to their knees. We say that we're going to stand out with our performance on Friday night, not on how we look as an individual. So every one of our kids looks very, very similar on the field, because we want them to realize that it's the team that's most important. It's not the individual themselves.
That's right. That's what I've always felt here.
No, thank you.
And
that goes back to Bill and just what he has established at our program.
Well, I think you've carried on very well, sir.
I've tried.
Do you guys go to camps during the summer? I know there's some schools that don't believe in that. They do their own thing.
Early on, we did a little bit more of the team camp stuff. We've actually gone away from that.
Yeah.
We do a decent amount of 7-on-7. The kids really do enjoy that.
Yeah.
We do that with ourselves here at school. We have some with Hastings High. We've been getting together with Boone Central. We went up to Doane this summer. So that's stuff where we can do, because if your quarterback's available on that, you can go and get better at 7-on-7. If you go to a team camp and you're missing your left guard and your quarterback's not there and your running back's not, sometimes a positive experience can turn into a negative experience. And there's the risk of injury, but there's a risk of injury in anything that you do. I've taken that philosophy of get better in the weight room. Let's work on our skill stuff during the summer. We don't overwork our kids. We have kids that play baseball. We want to allow the kids to be kids in the summer too. Our success has been good, and so I think we're doing the right things and still allowing them to enjoy life.
I think so. It's worked out well.
Right.
And the weight room is just almost automatic here, isn't it?
It's an expectation. I think we had 88% attendance, 90% attendance, somewhere in that range for our 50 kids this year. So you got vacations and you take time off too, but we expect our kids to be here on the days that they're in town, and if they're not in town, and we have baseball players that get home at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, they show up at White's the next morning too, and it's just kind of expected, and they follow through very well.
Well, their kids, they can handle it. We've had to do that at our age. So.
Yeah. I know I always say that when school starts, it's actually a blessing for me, because I get up later during school year than I do up in the summer to go into morning whites.
I suppose. How will that loss of the players last year, is it going to be tough to recoup from that?
Well, sure. When
you always have, but
when you lose a quality group, but it's like that every year. I know as a coaching staff, we always say this guy's going to be hard to replace and we're going to miss him, this guy's going to be hard to replace. And sometimes you're able to replace the individual with another individual of similar quality, and sometimes it goes backwards a little bit. It seems like here, once you become a senior, your performance goes up. A lot of it is because you've been working for it for 4 years, and then that change of mindset that I'm now a leader of the school seems to be a good thing for us. We have a good senior class this year. Good.
And you know, the quarterback situation is always something where that you know, you're concerned about if you have a quarterback like you did last year. But I keep thinking about that game against St. Paul when quarterback, how many guys down by the goal line had. Were you down to your third or fourth string?
Well, our Cam Foster, our senior quarterback, got hurt. The backup Jacob Eckhart played a series before he got hurt. My sophomore was in quarantine because of COVID. So Jaden Techmeyer, a freshman, came in and did the last series, then the overtime for it. And for a freshman being thrown in a game like that, did actually a good job. He had a boot where he scored the tying touchdown. We kicked the PAT and then just didn't quite finish it in overtime. That was a great game.
I couldn't, you know, that tells you the depth at quarterback and the kids that can play and can handle it in that situation.
And we really try to, I don't think the kids always realize how close they are to playing. And we try to, as a coaching staff, prepare them for the what-if scenario, and sometimes you do a good job of it, and sometimes you don't. In that situation, our playbook did shrink because of Jaden's knowledge as a freshman, so it hurt us a little bit on that, but he was still able to execute, you know, some of our offense for us.
I know that should tell you right there, man. You could be the next man no matter where you're standing on the sidelines. So tell us about the coaching staff, which is one of the best in the state, I think.
Well, thank you. It's the same coaching staff that I've had for a number of years. We did add Matt Overmiller. He came from Papillion. He's a former AC quarterback, grad here. Played at Hastings College, so he's been a nice addition. Yeah. Josh Lewis still runs our defense. Coach Hotelling, wide receivers, DBs. Samuelson, wide receiver, DBs. Coach Jacobitz does the offensive line. Coach Reitzel does the defensive line, and then myself.
Good. And you coach?
I focus in on the linebackers. I help out there on that. I'm the offensive coordinator. I grade out our running backs. I would say that I coach everything because you have to be knowledgeable on that. So in practices, we have areas of focus that this coach is going to be critiquing these guys, and I have a tendency sometimes to float away from my group and coach some other ones too. But offensive line and I would say running backs are my area of focus when it comes to practices a game. Jacobitz is the one that does a great job with that, and then defensively, the linebackers, middles, and outsides.
I see. I like that kind of thing, what you're doing right there.
We try to.
Yeah. Tell me about your offense this year without giving away any secrets.
We're not going to be any different than we have been. We're still a spread offense, three, 4, 5 receivers, single running back, zone, inside, outside zone scheme, throw the ball if you want to put everybody in the box. We have the quarterback and receivers again that I feel that we can stretch the field a little bit on that, and if you want to try to take away the passing game, I think that we'll be all right inside with Hyatt and our offensive line too. But you just never know until you get into the season and you start seeing how you stack up against other players. But as I stated before, we are simplistic in some of the aspects of our game, but we try to do it at a very high level.
Yeah, and it's apparent that happens. So yeah, you've got a pretty good running back. And he's only a junior. So
he had a good season last year.
He certainly did, and the boys up front did a terrific job blocking.
Yep.
You ever go into the Maryland High?
We still run it at the junior high level. We have discussed moving over to the high school scheme of it.
One time.
Maryland High still does come up with our blocking schemes as far as how we are doing certain things, but
that's a tough one to.
We've moved away from it.
I've seen it a couple of times, but
I enjoy the Maryland Eye and Power Eye. We just don't have the players, and that's why we went to what we did.
That's right.
Somebody asked me the question: if you were to go into I formation, who would be here and who would be there? And I would struggle with giving more than 2 people there because our build of our players, we have strong kids, but a 6'3", 180-pound strong kid is different than a 6 foot, 205 pounds.
That's right. So who is going to quarterback?
Jacob Eckhart.
He will be the quarterback.
Senior for us.
He's a good one.
Yep, he's
earned it.
Yep, he's was behind Cam last year. He's got a lot of reps. His decision making is very good. I don't think that you'll see a drop off in our performance at our quarterback on that. We rep both of our quarterbacks. Our backup gets a lot of reps. We get the 3 and 4, not maybe as much as we do with number 2, but Sam Dirks is his backup, and my playbook doesn't shrink if Sam would come in. But Jacob's done a really good job this year with his decision-making, his throwing the ball. Adding Coach Overmiller, a former quarterback and quarterback coach, has really helped our quarterbacks improve their throwing technique and their decision-making.
So how many players do you have going both ways? Every position, or is there some?
No, we probably, I'm just guessing here, 6 to 8, somewhere in that range. I know we probably have, I can think of 3 I know for a fact that only play significantly on one side of the ball.
Oh, not bad.
Somewhere in that range a lot of time. We had more depth last year, I would say, especially in the skill people where we rotated a lot more in. Our numbers are down a little bit this year. We're at 50 this year, where we're typically upper 50s, lower 60s. So that's been a struggle, a little bit of a challenge for us this year when it comes to practice with having a few less players. But that kind of seems a little bit of the norm in football right now.
I know it is. If you're walking the halls at Adams Central, get a uniform on, for goodness sakes. If I would play here if I still could. Linebackers have always been a strong point, I think, in this school. Gee, this year's no different, right?
They're going to be young. We have Trevor Halls, who's a senior. He'll play a lot for us on the offensive line. He's more of an inside the tackle type of running or linebacker for us. We have 2 young guys. Lucas Gabriel's a sophomore, and Jackson Gangwish was injured last year, but he's a junior. And those guys are extremely aggressive and run very well. Not big guys, but their instincts, they have a nose for the football. And so there's going to be a learning maturation process for those guys early on because of how young they are. But you can't coach certain aspects, the ability to find holes and read it. Slade Smith was a great example of that last year, where he was not a big linebacker for us, but his ability to find that hole and find it quickly was very impressive, and that's why he was so good.
I know, and all of your linebackers always floated the ball very well.
Downhill.
The nose, man. Oh yeah, taught very well. You're the man. So tell us about your district. I know it's the same as last year. Some people that watch this show probably don't know who's in your district.
Yeah, I'm focusing on the beginning of the season, not the end of the season, so I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
Fillmore Central, Central City, St. Paul, and us, I believe, is our district. St. Paul won the district last year. Fillmore Central, they have some young guys coming back this year. Central City is always a challenge with what they do, scheme-wise, both offensively and defensively. And St. Paul has had a very good run the last few years, also too. So that's
they have, and the out of district schedule with Wahoo in there. That's a great game, isn't it? And it's here. Thank goodness.
We have Wahoo and Cozad and Kearney Catholic. The NSAA likes to give us challenging teams, which is fine. I've never thought in my 8 years as head coach that we've ever had what I would look at as an easy season. At the end of the year, a lot of times we're playing either they were rated or are rated teams on a consistent basis, which is good. It's good competition. You remember those games more when you're older than the 50-0 game versus a 28-27 game, something like that.
It doesn't look, when I was a kid, that looked really great to me. Let's blow everybody out. Nobody wants to stand on the sidelines the entire second half if you're a starter. So now a couple of questions here. The Central City thing, I put this on here, and I don't know what you thought about it, but I think everybody should play Central City just because of what they do. Just to get that passing thing. Nobody passes that much. Did that test you last year?
Not as much as what they do, but if you look at what we do, we throw the ball around a decent amount.
You do.
We practice it a lot. We have ability to do that. So for us to practice and get ready for a Central City team is easier now than when it was in the Maryland I days, because our kids are more adept to being able to try to replicate what Central City does. Vice versa, if you have a Pierce team that's extremely physical, two tights, a cloud of dust at you most of the time, sometimes that's harder to replicate in practice because of your blocking schemes and what you do. So each team always provides a challenge to you as far as getting ready on that. But what they do at a very high level, and it probably challenges us as a coaching staff a little bit more, but we have seen them somewhat frequently at the JV and the varsity level over the years that we do feel somewhat comfortable playing them, I guess I would say, in comparison maybe to a team that hasn't played them before.
I think so. That's probably what I was thinking. I never thought about you guys being...
If you're a team that you get them in the playoffs and you haven't seen them before, I would say that's more of a challenge than if you see them at some level on a year in, year out basis. you're a little bit more familiar with maybe their philosophy and their schemes,
Yeah.
which you can try to relate over to your kids.
Because I think they snuck up on Battle Creek last year, that opener 52-50 or something like that. It's
Those
like
are a lot of points.
Adams Central and Central City isn't going to be 52-50, folks. So anyway, you guys healthy going into week 1?
Yeah.
And there has been some unfortunate things happen here.
Yeah, as of right now, our depth is, I would say, okay. We have at least I would classify a quality backup at every position. I think that's probably the case for most C1 teams, is that after you go past a couple individuals, it probably drops off
Sure.
a little bit on that too. But I've said this forever, you have to be good, healthy, and lucky to have the season that you want to, and there's a couple of those that you can't control, the healthy and the lucky part of it. So we'll see how the season goes. We've been blessed that the last year, the people that we had a lot of running back injuries, but we were really deep at that position. Yeah. So if you have a few kids out in the right spot, it might not hurt you as much versus in certain areas.
Well, it looks like you're in pretty good shape. So you open this Friday at Holdridge.
Yep.
And then next week is the following week, week 2 is right here with Wahoo. Home game starting time still the same.
Yeah, everything's pretty much 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, good. Not going to move any in the afternoon game so I can catch a doubleheader.
I don't actually mind. We played Skirnon Central Catholic a few years ago because Nebraska had a game on a Thursday night. And I think that's why we moved it up. But we played at 5:30. That was actually kind of nice to get done really early. We played Shattern in the playoffs a few years ago afternoon. But no, 7 o'clock kickoff is our standard time.
And get her early, right? Because they fill those stands up. All right. Thank you, Coach. Yeah, always a great thrill to talk to you. You're going to see Adams Central at the top of the heap at the end, so be looking for the Patriots, right?
Thank you for the coverage.
No problem. Coach Shawn Mulligan for Bobby Mills, McKenna Lamry behind the camera. For Endzone Online, catch us next time on the summer tours, soon to turn into fall.